Welcome to week 10 of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show. Show is brought to you by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. And Coach, Indians get the win 49-14 against Butler to get the 9th win of the season. Indians were in a close game, 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. We'll give it to Butler. We knew they were going to come in with a fight, and they did. In the second quarter, the Indians really took it to another level.
I think we did, and I think they came out and they had some things we hadn't seen before, especially on offense, and we fought through it, and then we're fortunate enough to get them out to 3 and out, punting on the next, I think, 4 possessions. And in the process of doing that, then we were able to score, and I thought the punt return was probably the big one. The punt return where we were able to get out and get that thing rolling. And anytime you score on a special team, it seems to be such a momentum breaker or momentum builder, whatever the case may be. And so I thought that was one of the big turning points of the game.
Well, they've got some players. They've got some athletes that, no question, that gave us some challenges. But boy, defensively, you can't say enough about Braden Strayer. 3 interceptions, 6 tackles. Not that he hasn't been noticeable all year, but that was a big time game for him. It
was, and I think he gave us the ability to get out there and do some things. Him and Bryson Roberts into the boundary, on their side, and they were playing a little bit boundary game on both sides. But I think those 2 guys especially were able to change up some looks and do some different things that normally we don't necessarily do. And I think they were able to do it. And the other side didn't get a lot of tests in terms of the Meyer Booker side. It seemed like Strayer and Bryce were into that sideline most of the time, and they challenged him short, they challenged him deep, and he was able to intercept a hitch, he was able to intercept 2 go patterns. So it was either like, usually it's one or the other. You're going to give up the short and whatever, but he was able to take care of everything.
Well, speaking of Bryson Roberts, if we switch it to the offensive side of the ball, he had an outstanding game on the offensive side, scoring 2 touchdowns. And the Indians really did seem to have a real good rhythm, as we have all year offensively, but Friday night was no exception.
Exactly, and our offensive line continues to get better, and I think they were just blocking extraordinarily. I thought they did a great job. They kept Brady clean in the pocket the entire night, and our down kick scheme, our power game was going real well, and I think our inside zone was going pretty well too.
Well, as you're talking, we're looking pretty good offensively, and particularly offensive line. We're getting into our week, the waning weeks of the regular season. This is where you're ramping yourselves up to play your best. You're getting ready to play your best football.
We are, and boy, we're doing everything humanly possible to stay as fresh as we can. We're keeping things, on the practice field. Hit it and go, hit it and go, hit it and go. We still have to have some contact. That's us. We can't go out there and just do walkthroughs. I mean, we're used to getting some hitting out there. So we do have that, but it's very limited. We're spending more time in the meeting room, really focusing on the weight room as usual, and really talking to our players a lot about nutrition, about sleep, about not getting yourself run down. And taking care.
Coming in today, I saw several guys on ice baths and taking care of themselves just because of the week-to-week soreness that you come in. That's just football.
It is, and the first week, you recover, quickly. Second week you recover. Third week, by the time that 7th, 8th, 9th week comes, it's a little bit harder to recover. All of a sudden, it seems like you age. You're 17, 18 years old, and you get to feeling like a 40-year-old guy, at some point. So I think those guys, really have to listen to their bodies, and we've got to listen to the players, a little bit too on what we need to do with our. I talk to them quite a bit, ask them a lot of questions, about how you feel, how much rest are you getting, what kind of food are you eating, and those kind of things. So I think all that is important. If we can keep a line of communications open, I think we do a great job. And Katie, in the training room, Dr. Burkhart, Dr. Luna are doing an excellent job keeping everybody healthy.
Well, we've always said we've got some of the best sport training staff in the state, and certainly our Dr. Burkhart and Dr. Luna, they've been with us for as long as you've been here, and that's a long time. So
yes.
They're very in tune with the players and do a very good job of perceiving what's coming down. Of course, Dr. Burkhart comes in every Sunday, and Dr. Luna for them to take a look at our guys, and that's helpful too.
Oh, it is, and it's amazing. Probably a lot of people don't realize that we have two guys that have hours. They have office hours here at the stadium on Sundays that people can come in and get treated and get evaluated. And the best thing about them is they are sports doctors, meaning that they understand that 2 weeks of rest is just not necessarily the answer to every question. Sometimes you want to be a little bit more proactive, speed things up, and maybe alternate that ice heat and do a couple other things to get somebody back onto the field, when they're ready, but as soon as possible when they're ready.
Well, speaking of transitioning and having good people around you, the Indians having good people around us get ready for Week 10 for Stebbins as we move into the final week of the regular season on the road. Piqua will take a 9-0 record into Stebbins to look to clinch, be the sole champion of the Miami Valley League Championship. Before we talk about that, though, let's talk about the game. And Stebbins is a good football team. They 2 weeks ago they just dismantled Xenia, and Xenia's obviously been a very good team this year. So a lot to look for. And I think if I remember looking at the statistics right, their quarterback's is a leader, and I think they also have a receiver that's pretty strong.
Yeah, their quarterback is leading the league in passing yardage, and their receiver, number 10, is leading the league in reception yardage, and then they've got another receiver who might be the 4th or 5th. So they've got some weapons. They've got some big offensive line. I think they run to the ball well on defense, and overall very solid football team.
What can we expect to see from the Indians of Stebbins offensively?
Offensively, they will throw similar routes to what we do. Maybe not as much play action, but they'll run out of 3-by-1 and 2-by-2 and get people vertically down the field. They'll also work the sidelines, get some hitches, and they really like to try to get over the top of zones and defenses with some double posts and things of that nature. So I think offensively it's a pass offense, but it's about 50-50. You just when you think about them, you just think of a lot of passing, but they have a great running back. Who's averaging about 6-7 yards a carry, and he's got it played a little bit last year against us, but now he's our full-time running back, and he does a great job. He's averaging, I think, maybe the last 4 or 5 games he's rushing for almost 100 yards a game.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So they as we know, they do have a very potent offense. And,
yeah, they're balanced. The thing is about them is they're balanced, and they know what they're doing. They like their system, and they'll run inside zone, similar to what we do, and they'll run some lead option and quarterback draw. Quarterback gets out there and he's not afraid to put the ball down and run, scramble, but also be a runner himself on purpose.
Defensively, what can we see from Stebbins?
Well, the interesting thing about their defense is that us and Stebbins are the only 2 even front teams that play 4 down linemen. They do a great job with they play a 4-3. We play more of a 4-4. Play a 4-3, and their defensive ends are outstanding. I think they got 2 middle guys that are very good. Their linebackers, as I said earlier, really run to the ball, and their secondary likes to keep everything funneled right in on them. So their defensive scheme is just like their offense, a very sound scheme. It's something they believe in, and it's something that they do. They're not out every week trying to invent something new. They play what they play, and they do what they do.
Well, I know they're well coached, and the one thing that we looked at before the season started, that Stebbins was going to be one of those teams in the league that was going to be one of the teams that beat in the league, just because last year they were division champions and returned a lot of those guys.
They have, and it'll be a big challenge for us to go over there and try to knock them off.
Well, speaking of going there, I'm trying to think in recent history the last time Piqua played at Stebbins. It's been a long time. I know it's not been in the last 15 to 20 years, if I can remember correctly.
No, as a matter of fact, I think we played there when Lance Reeves and those guys were maybe freshmen. We played at Stebbins, and it rained real quick. And it might have been Thursday night.
It was a Thursday night lights. That's right. Excuse me. Yeah, that's Thursday night. But that was the first time we played there in a while, so we get to go.
Yeah, I'd never been to Stebbins, up to that point. You're right on that.
Talking about the championship, we talk week by week by week. Last week we clinched a share of the league title. Now here we are. It's in our sights. We win Friday night. it does give you something to look forward to have a chance to win a trophy and to be overall champions in the league.
It does, and as we sat down at the beginning of the year and we established some goals that we want to do and some things you want to accomplish, and it goes from to boom to boom to boom. As we're looking right now, it's what we talked about in our Monday meeting today. We're looking right now is there's really one goal left. I mean the league is there. We've been able to defeat both of our rivals, although we may see either one of them again. And now we're looking at the opportunity that we could finish the regular season undefeated, and be the sole owner of that league championship. So from this point on, and we started this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Every week is rolling into something. First 5 games are easy. You're playing, and then you have to start kind of maybe finding a little nugget of motivation, so to speak, to get everybody rolling. And I think this will be no exception this week.
You're not having to hunt real hard. I mean, it's the opportunity to do two things. Obviously, that you said, win the league championship, but I think it's also, and I went back and looked at the records today, I think it'd be the first time if we should able to defeat Stebbins on Friday. It'd be the first back-to-back undefeated teams that the school has had in school history. So that doesn't happen a lot. So
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
But work has to get done in practice, in preparation for this week. I know these guys will not take Stebbins lightly.
No. And like I said, I talked to a reporter after the game, and I think he thought I was kind of maybe making it up a little bit. I said, this is not really as easy as what it may appear. I guess these people that we're playing are coming out who are some very good football players. They have very good plans. And we also have some good football players, and we're able to implement some plans. I've had some great plans in my coaching career that did not work because I didn't have I didn't have the right personnel to get it done. And some other times, vice versa. It's all got to work in unison. And I think right now we're working in unison, but by no means are we ever going to be in a position that we're going to overlook anybody. I mean, as far as we know, we get down in our room and we stay as humble as we possibly can, and we just come up and go. Because our players know, because a lot of these kids started 2-3 years ago. They know anything can happen, and so they want to make sure that their work is done, so they don't allow that to happen again.
No guarantees, and when you play in a good league like we play, as we saw this past week, there are upsets that happen, and we are going to do everything we can to avoid that to happen. Coach, we're going to talk about the player portion here coming up in part 2 of our program. Bryson Roberts and Dre'Sean Roberts, both who have been very, very instrumental as part of it. We talk a lot of seniors, but 2 juniors that have really put themselves right into the thick of things.
Oh yeah, we've got 6 or 7 juniors that are probably going to end up to be first-team all-league players and are getting looks at some colleges and stuff like that. And the Robertsons are right in that group. And Dre, first of all, great basketball player, and then he's evolved so much now, from just being a receiver to being probably one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous, return man in our league. And it's just amazing when you watch when we play other teams, and we've had it before a little bit, punt returning is one of the hardest things to do, because it's just, the ball's dropping from the middle of the sky, and people are running down. It's not a kickoff where it comes end over end and it's kind of easy to catch. This thing's flipping, turning over, and coming down. And Dre and Stray are relish catching that football and going. And it's like I said before, it's been some years I couldn't get kids to catch punts.
Right.
Some years it's all fair catch. That's fine, just catch it. Because if you don't catch it, you're going to cost us 15 yards. So it's going to bounce. The average punt bounces once it hits the ground 15.3 yards, according to Rick Krejci. So as a result here, you're going to lose that yardage. And what we've got is a situation where we've got 2 guys that want to catch it and want to go with it and block for one another. And then that spurs everybody else on to get back there and try to get a block for those guys. So, and Dre has just been outstanding, in his role.
They got some toughness to them, no doubt, and some grit. And you have to have that if you're going to, because like you said, you could get hit, and you've got to be willing to take that.
Yeah. Now, Bryce, he has been a player for us. He played last year. Tanner was hurt, and Bryce played, and he was just always there, always always getting in at running back, always getting in here. And this year, he's just become the brains of the operation. I mean, Meds is back there calling the shots back there, but right up there close to him, Bryce is anything I say at a meeting, he has in his memory bank from that point on.
Right.
And then he rolls with it. And he has great formation recognition, great technique, great imagination, because to be an outside linebacker, you've got to disguise some things, for us. You can't just play it the same way all the time. And, he disguises, he plays cat and mouse with the coaches that are making the signals, et cetera, et cetera. So he is, invaluable to us on defense. And then offensively, he's that guy that comes in and averages 8 yards a carry. Medley, Tanner, and then boom, you got him. So not many teams can have three really, really good running backs.
Well, the one thing is you talk about Medley and Tanner being two different runners, as is Roberts. He's got a different style to him as well. He's got a little speed, but he's also got some power to him.
Yeah, he's kind of the guy that gets in there and gets those tough yards and gets moving, and they all three do things just a little differently, and that's what I think is unique, about our running game.
Well, Dre'Sean's been certainly good as a receiver too. When you look at his efficiency in catching and how he turns catches into yards, he also is not afraid to block.
No, he gets out there and gets physical, and let's not forget at any given moment when he's coming across there on some of those jets, occasionally that we flip it to him and he's out and he's gone, and our offense times that up and the ball's snapped. And you've got a picture in one instance, and you've got, is Dre coming out? On the jet, is our running back, slicing straight up through on inside zone, or is the magician going to pull it, Brady, and throw it out there, and throw it to one of those receivers. So when we run that series of offense, it's pretty tough to deal with.
We are very fortunate to have good team chemistry we've talked about, but I honestly think the senior group has really embraced the juniors, and those two are examples. We've got other juniors that are doing the same kind of a thing, and we talk a lot about on this show our seniors, and we understand why that is. But we have a strong junior cast that have a lot to do with the success that we've had this year.
Yeah, and anytime you're going to have a good football team, you've got to be able to have that junior class. Whether or not it just be filling in depth, or in this case, these guys have blended right in, together, and they continue to get better, every week, and we continue to have more people. Colton Booker was able to play this week at outside linebacker, did a fantastic job, and so now we've got more depth. At outside linebacker, we now have maybe 17 or 18 people that can play on defense for us, and we wouldn't have to worry about anything. We can get it in there, and same thing on offense. We got.
You talk about Colton. We talked about him offensively here the last few weeks, but defensively, he showed he can do some things as well. And he's a guy that when you ask him to do something, he's going to do it because he's coachable.
Yeah, he is, and that presented a whole other picture with him. Him on the right side of the defense. And we put Anson Cox, we moved Anson out at end, and so we have two 6'5" guys, right in a quarterback's vision, as he's trying to throw to the right. And then you got, Strayer, and you got, Bryce over there doing their stuff on that side, so it kind of balanced out a little bit.
Oh, that's right, junior. Brady was a quarterback too. He's a junior. That junior class is pretty strong, isn't it?
Yes, pretty strong. And we've got, two fantastic offensive linemen, Soliday and Voskel. Those guys are excellent, and let's not forget the kicker. And let's not forget Sammy Smeezing.
We've got
some people.
We had talk about Sam. He led the team with 10 tackles the other night, and that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
You talk about Voskel and Soliday, and again, linemen don't get a lot of credit, but those guys really have made a big difference. And you talk about holes. Yeah. They put some gaps together for Medley to get through, and he's taking advantage of it. They
do. And even the referees even made a comment about Jackson Trombley's kicking. He said, man, what a weapon to have. It's just, it's automatic. Down there. And the one time, Jackson's pretty lucky, the one time it didn't go in the end zone, the guy caught it with his knee down at the 1. So that was even better.
Well, the Indians certainly will look to move forward. And I know Bryson, as we talked about the other juniors too, and Dre, we will. I know they'll be a big part of looking for an Indians victory on Friday night. And Coach, we wish you well.
Thank you.
We will be back for the second half of the Coaches Show. We're going to talk to the Roberts guys. We're going to find out, are they brothers, are they cousins, or are they just friends? We'll be right back. Welcome to part 2 of the week 10 of Bill Neeson's Coaches Show, sponsored by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. We are at the players portion of the program, and gentlemen, I'm going to have you introduce your names and the positions that you play.
My name is Dre'Sean Roberts. I play receiver and defensive back.
I'm Bryson Roberts. I play outside linebacker and running back.
Well, let's just get the question out of the way. A lot of people ask the question, what's your relation? But a lot of people don't know. They've got your last name Roberts. We're both in the same class. So what's the answer, Dre?
Just friends.
Just friends?
Yeah, just friends.
No family relation?
Nah.
All right, it's out there. People, now the nation knows. Let's get right into it. Big win for us last week. Both of you guys had outstanding performances. Dre and you had a nice touchdown off a punt return.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about not just that play. Well, let's talk about that play. What was that? Talk about how you saw that develop. Did you see that develop as the play went on, or when you caught it, you just had a good feel?
When I caught it, I had a good feel about it. Coach Trout always talked about at practice, you're going to return one. So I got one Friday night.
And you've been close a couple times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the fact that you got there, that finally probably took some pressure off.
Yeah.
Well, your friend here, Bryson, you had a big game as well with 2 rushing touchdowns, and boy, you can just tell each week you're feeling more comfortable. But it had to probably make you feel real good now that you put 2 on the board for the Indians.
Yeah, going into the game, I knew Tanner was out, so I just knew I had to step up, make sure I was ready to go. So if Cy needed a break, I could come in, give him a good break.
And you have a different running style than Josiah. You got a little bit of a power, but you also got some speed to you. Talk a little bit about what your thoughts on going into the season, how and obviously you've had a good year, but how you feel like this year was important to you to really help this program.
Oh, yeah, this year, really going into it, my mind was, Karan, he used to play outside linebacker, so he left. So my role, I didn't think of it as be a Karan, but instead be the best, like me, I could be. So, just think about how my role was going to improve. I just knew I had to step up.
Dre'Sean, you had played a big role on the team last year as receiver, and then again, you got more touches with this year. We certainly don't want to compare last year to this year because last year was a very special year. But for this year, it's to be 9-0 in a situation where you're going in for a potential 10th win in the regular season, and I guess we can go ahead and say it, a regular season undefeated potential. That says a lot about you, but I think it also speaks a lot to the team that it's just been 1 week at a time.
Yeah, it's always been like that since day one, 1 week at a time. And watch film, it's a good thing to be part of.
I got to ask a fun question.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention and watching films from last year to this year, there was one particular play that you were at Sydney. You got a touchdown. You know what's coming, don't you?
Yeah.
The celebration. Our good friend Jarrell.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Tries to chest bump you.
Yeah.
And you fell right
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Now, and ever since then, I haven't seen you do much of that.
No,
There's been a reason, isn't that right?
Yeah, I don't jump
Can you
that
share
anymore.
that as to why you don't do that anymore?
So last year we played in Sydney, and then it was like Brady threw a seam to me, and I caught it and scored. And I was happy. I was really happy, and I jumped with Jarrell. I shouldn't have done that.
Like running a brick wall.
Yeah,
Right?
and he just knocked me out. So I stopped doing it.
Second time it happened, too.
Yeah, that was the second time, yeah. Yeah, so I stopped doing that.
Well, you've caught quite a few touchdown passes this year for us, and when you look at catching the ball for the Indians, we don't throw it a lot, but boy, when we do throw, we're pretty efficient.
Yeah, we have good receivers. Corey, Gio, Ryan, Frage. We just all connect, and just not just catching, but blocking too for our running backs. So it's just a good core.
Bryson, for this team, you guys are juniors and you're playing, and obviously there's quite a few seniors, but the one thing that we've talked a lot about with the seniors has been the chemistry amongst this group. As juniors, do you really feel like you're a part of that, or do you think it's a separate class, or do you guys feel like you're one big big family.
No, I feel like since day one this summer, I feel like we've all had great chemistry. You know, we left last season kind of upset, but we all knew that it's going to be a different year this year. We all knew we were going to step up, and I feel like a lot of them have started when they were real young. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the camaraderie of those guys has really came in to connect with us, and they just brought us right in.
Yeah, I get a real sense, you know, and I've seen this happen, not all the time, but I've seen some classes just, hey, we'll take our senior class, and when it's your turn, you can come up, but for now it's us. But they really have embraced you guys to into this role, and you guys have taken it and ran with it. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming the game, Stebbins. We're coming into a game where obviously we're looking to clinch the league championship. There's a lot of things that goes into clinching league title, and obviously with a chance of winning and finishing 10-0 in the regular season right before you go into playoffs. What's some of the keys for you guys as you're going into this game for you, Bryson? Excuse me. Dre, go ahead. I'm sorry.
They got some good receivers, so I know our defense will be ready for that. And they like to throw the ball a lot. I don't really see them run the ball like that. And for our offense, I really don't really know about their defense like that, but I know we're gonna do our best and just go from there.
Bryson, for you on both sides of the ball, I mean, you're obviously running, but you're also playing a key position defensively. What is it for you? Do you think is a key for the Indians on Friday night on the defensive side of the ball?
They have the leading passer and the leading receiver right now in the league, and they got like a couple guys that were all league last year. So I just think we just got to be locked in, and I feel like our coverage is amazing. Like Strayer, he had 3 interceptions last week, so I don't think the quarterback wants to look his way. But just locking in, making sure we're doing our job for the team, doing what we're supposed to do, and I feel like no team could score on us when we do what we can do best.
I'm going to shift a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about you guys, and you guys are multi-sport athletes. You're basketball players. I know we're not really thinking about basketball yet. It's coming around the corner. But you guys have played basketball for a lot of years together, obviously for the school, but at AU and things of that nature. So what's it like being a multi-sport athlete, and how has it helped you being a good football player?
For me, it helps me stay in shape. Just running, and it just keeps me in shape, really. And I like when people ask me, like, you like basketball or football more, I always say I don't know. It's a hard question.
Well, college recruiters, if you're wanting to play college basketball, they want to know that you're playing. You know, it helps them when you're a multi-sport athlete, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bryce, how about you from a hoop standpoint?
I feel like it helps me be lighter on my feet. So, like, you know, I like to play defense on the basketball court, so it helps me stay on my feet, which also translates to the football field when I'm running. I got to be able to make sure I'm light. I can make cuts real quick and have good vision. Good.
Gentlemen, as we get ready to wrap up here, what are some of the things that you has been a real highlight for you so far if you look back into this season?
I got to say that pick six I had versus Sydney, the very first play, I don't think I'll ever forget that until I don't even know. I'll probably never forget that play.
And I'm sure they won't either. Yeah. How about you, Dre?
I got like 2. I'll say my catch from Brady against Xenia, that long run, and then the one for the punt return. That's last Friday night.
And gentlemen, many more to come.
Yeah.
So we wish you guys luck as we roll into Stebbins on Friday night for Week 10.
Okay.
Just as a reminder, the Indian Nation station will have highlights from the game next week. It will not be streamed live or will there be any delay broadcast on the Indian Nation station this coming weekend because it is an away game, but it will be on next week following the coaches show here for the Bill Nieces Week 11 show. So, gentlemen, we wish you luck, and we thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We will see you the next time on Week 11 of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show as the Indians look to clinch the MVL Championship.